Have you ever driven down a long, empty road and felt like you were being watched? Not by a person, but by the land itself. In the vast, barren expanse of Western Australia, there's a place where the horizon never ends, and silence is a living, breathing thing. It's called the Nullarbor Plain, and along its edge runs a remote gravel path known as the Bunda Track. In October 2014, I was sent there as a surveyor, tasked with mapping this desolate stretch of road. I was 32, confident, and completely unaware of how quickly isolation can unravel the mind. Our base camp was a small collection of trailers at kilometer 95. The project lead, a tough ex-military engineer named Clara, greeted me with a stark warning in her eyes. The rest of the crew direct Marisol and Brett were quiet, their faces etched with a tension I couldn't yet understand. That first afternoon, Marisol asked me if I'd heard the stories of people who disappear on the plain, only to return. Different, she said. They claim the plain whispers to them, that you see figures who vanish when you call out, and then you lose hours, sometimes days, with no memory of what happened. I laughed it off. As a local legend, I wouldn't be laughing for long. That night, it started, a faint, rhythmic knocking on the wall of my trailer. Knock, pause, knock. I told myself it was just the wind, but then a voice whispered, so faintly I almost missed it. Help. I threw open the door to find nothing but cold, silent, empty darkness. No footprints, no movement, just the unnerving stillness of the desert. The next morning, the unease in the camp was thick enough to cut with a knife. While Marisol and I were out surveying, our GPS unit suddenly failed. No signal. Nothing. That's when I saw him. A figure, standing motionless at the edge of the plain, just watching us. I called out, but there was no response, and then, in the blink of an eye, he was gone, vanished without a trace. When we returned to camp, it was empty. Clara was gone. Her keys were by the generator, her coffee mug still warm, but she had vanished. We searched, we called her name, but only the empty wind answered. As panic set in, we realized all our communication devices were dead. No signal. We were completely cut off. Then, we all heard it. A whisper carried on the wind, clear as day. It was her name. Clara. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. We were trapped, with something we couldn't see, couldn't understand, and couldn't escape. That night, huddled together for safety, the whispers returned. Help me. Please. It wasn't Clara's voice. It sounded weak, distant, and utterly impossible. I stepped out into the darkness, flashlight in hand. As I called out, the voice dissolved into a low, distorted laughter that seemed to crawl under my skin. My mind went fuzzy. My feet moved on their own, drawn toward the sound. The next thing I knew, it was morning. I was face down in the dust. Marisol was shaking me awake. Hours had passed, and I had no memory of them. Brett, our mechanic, was still in his tent, unresponsive, and half buried in the dirt was a single, scuffed woman's shoe that didn't belong to any of us. We had to get help. We abandoned the camp and began the long 180-kilometer walk back to the nearest roadhouse. The sun was relentless. After hours of walking, we found an abandoned 4x4, its doors wide open. Footprints led away from it, before simply vanishing into the shimmering heat. We found 3 more vehicles just like it, each one left with personal belongings inside, as if the owners had just stepped out for a moment and never returned. It was a graveyard of the lost. On the dusty rearview mirror of one truck, someone had scratched 4 words, "You're not alone here." That night, the lights appeared, faint flickers in the distance, like headlights, but moving impossibly slow and with no engine sound. They grew in number, dozens, then hundreds, all silently drifting toward us. Translucent, wavering silhouettes began to take shape at the edge of our firelight. They were tall, still, and not quite human. Then the whispers surrounded us. "Come back. Don't be afraid. We can take you home." The ground felt like it was dissolving beneath my feet, and then everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was alone. The fire was dead. Marisol was gone. Our supplies were gone. All that remained was her tablet, with a battery at 3%. I found a folder ID never seen before. Eastern, NAULA, LAI, eerie, BOI, lost unit logs. I opened a file. It was a personnel report dated October 15th, 1997. My blood ran cold as I read the names of the missing crew. Clara Weiss, Dedicolin, Marisol Vega. Brett Carter. Brett Carter. A report from 17 years before we even arrived. I found another file. A last recorded statement from Clara, dated 1997. She wrote, "The plane does not behave it watches us. Whispers to us. We are losing time. Don't trust the horizon. It watches." Desperate, I started walking and stumbled upon a new track. One that wasn't on any map. It led to an old, dilapidated shack. Inside, on a table, was a field notebook from 1997. The frantic entries described the same things we experienced. The disappearing track, the voices, the feeling of being followed. The final entry was a chilling warning. The road is not what you think. It's a loop trap. Don't follow your own footprints back. They're not your own here. As I dropped the book, I found a photograph on the floor. It was a team photo of 5 people on Bunda Track, dated October 1997. The faces were ours. Clara, Dedic, Marisol, Brett, and me. I stumbled outside into a world that had become a blank, gray haze. No sky, no horizon, just an empty void. A whisper spoke right beside my ear. "You knew this would happen." I fell to my knees, lost. The next time I opened my eyes, I was back on Bunda Track. I don't know how long I was gone, hours, days, or years. I walked until I reached the Kaguna Roadhouse. The owner told me he hadn't seen any missing people in years, except for one group back in '97. A survey crew who talked about the desert whispering. They were never seen again. I never found my crew. Some say the plane took them. I just know that on that road, you don't just lose your way. You lose time, and you discover that you are never, ever truly alone. Thanks for watching. If you have your own unsettling road trip story, share it in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more tailies from the edge of the map.